Well, hey there, Cross Timbers team. Good morning, evening, time of the day to you. I hope you're enjoying your hub update. Was asked to share just some of my thoughts from what the Keller campus experienced at the Baptism Bash, and I know at each of our campuses we had a tremendous day where we saw lots of life changing folks coming to Christ and following through with baptism, and so it's a tremendous day across all of our campuses. But uniquely at Keller, what I really felt like the Lord. Um, Showed me and that he allowed me to see was that it really was a turning point for Keller. Excuse me. Really about Saturday night about midnight. I really kind of started to get a strong sense of excitement um, as we got closer to dawn at the baptism bash, and I was just really excited. I just had a sense of anticipation that the Lord was going to do something, and I had no idea what that would. I thought maybe it would look different, that maybe we wouldn't see many baptisms, but that we would see His presence and see Him move, and we really did see all of the above. A lot of great stories coming out of our people. Overall, gosh, excuse me. I think as we turn that corner, as we've made this transition, which has been a challenge at a lot of different levels. I really feel like this will be the day that we look back on, and we say, as a team, as a staff, as a church family, that we say, "Gosh, remember that first baptism bash we did at Christ Save?" And that was really the day that we turned the corner and we entered into a new season. And I believe there are many great things ahead for the Keller campus. A few of the things that stand out to me, a few of the specific folks, the stories, if you will, that stand out from baptism bashes. One girl by the name of Brittany, who's about 22 years old. Young girl, sweet, sweet spirit, has had some significant challenges here in the recent past. 3 months ago, yesterday, Brittany lost her very best friend in a tragic car accident. I think my screensaver just came on. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep moving the mouse. Caleb, edit that out. Brittany lost her friend in a tragic car accident. Uh, Brittany, by her own admission, she had not necessarily been living for the Lord. She'd kind of been away from church, away from what God had for her. And so when her friend died, it really was a wake up call for her. And she struggled with, why would God do this, and why take such a young girl in such a tragic way, who was loved and well liked and had a great family, and who Brittany describes as on fire for the Lord and loved Jesus and loved God and wanted Brittany to do the same. And so Brittany, knowing that she needed to make a change and knowing that she needed help, she went online and she filled out an application to be a CT Kids volunteer. So that application actually went to Rolanda, and Rolanda took her out for chips and salsa, got to know her a little bit, and we plugged her in with a seasoned CT Kids volunteer, the sweet Jennifer Tarvin. Those two connected instantly and kind of built a great rapport. And then as we began to talk about Baptism Bash, Brittany started to talk about, well, I think I want to do that. So she and Rolanda had several conversations back and forth. And then I had a chance to meet with her both before and after Baptism Bash. And she looked at me and she said, you know what? I think I get it now. I think the Lord really was trying to get my attention, in that I don't really understand why He took her, but if He took her to draw me closer to Him, then I think that honors my friend, and it challenges me to live my life to the fullest and live it for Him. And so she is, as we would say in Tennessee, slap fired up. She is excited. Um, I had a young man young dad with probably had a daughter of about 3 or 4 months old, was there with his wife, was only their second or third time to be with us at CT Keller, grew up Catholic, and had been sprinkled, had the Catholic baptism as an infant, but had really just, as Toby shared that story um, about being, as he talked through infant baptism and Catholic Catholics, this is the worst video ever, um, really spoke to him. And so he came over and we shared a little bit with each other. And he said, I really feel like the Lord's asking me to take this step and to go to the next level with Him, if nothing else, so that my daughter sees a man who loves the Lord. And I'm telling y'all, friends, when he said that and his wife was standing next to him holding that baby, I lost it. I mean, I looked like Tammy Faye Baker with mascara running down my face. But it was just a sweet moment for him. And really, I think for me, the moment that was the most exciting was if you've been at Keller before, or if you were with us last Baptism Bash, you know Gerald Case. Gerald's on our welcome team. He usually sits out front. He's got the long Goat Man Goatee. He is bound in a wheelchair. He was in an accident several years ago. Who is a great guy, a great dad, who just struggles to make all the ends meet. And so he's got 2 kids that come every week for both services with him, and they serve and they help, and they're great kids who mean well. Um, Serenity, his daughter, is going into the 8th grade. Gerald was baptized the last baptism bash at Florence Road, and since then we've really seen him grow in the Lord and grow in his faith and grow closer to what God is calling him to do. And so, Serenity's going to the 8th grade, and a while back she told her dad that she wanted to play the clarinet in the band when school started. I think she told him at the end of the school year. So Gerald began to kind of research what that would cost and what that would require from a financial aspect. Found out that a clarinet runs about 88 to 98 bucks a month. I think the average was about 90. Totally impossible for him and his family for where they're at right now. And so he told her that, no, probably not going to happen. We can't afford that. He mentioned it to a friend who mentioned it to a friend who mentioned it to a friend at Cross Timbers. So there was a group of men who began to look for a clarinet, either to raise money to buy one, to offset the cost, or whatever they could do. And so I got an email about it, and it was just one of those things that I read the email. It was a mass email. I didn't reply to it. I just read it, and it just kind of stuck in the back of my head. I never really thought twice about it, to be honest. That week was the week we decided that we were going to begin the process of moving into the old admin building at Christ Haven for some office space. So several of us were over at the office one day just kind of getting an assessment of what we needed. And sweet, sweet Ronnie Red was in there, and he was digging stuff out of closets, and the building had been abandoned for about 3 years. There was tons of stuff in that building. I think we would call it hoarding, just that needed to be thrown away. So we were throwing stuff away and digging stuff out, and Bill was in heaven because he loves that stuff. And so Ronnie says, "Hey, look at this case, and there's an instrument in here." And I was in another room, and I hollered out, "Hey, if it's a clarinet, shotgun, like I know somebody." And so he came walking in. He goes, "Hey, here's your clarinet." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Well, there's this clarinet in here, and it's just in here." So he asked the folks at Christ Haven if we could have it, and they said sure. And I thought, well, man, that's kind of odd. Like, I read an email about a clarinet today, found a clarinet. What are the odds? So I contacted those guys and gave them the clarinet. They took it, had it inspected and cleaned, and all that fun stuff. Turns out it's perfect fit. So long story short, too late. I had the clarinet on Sunday ready to give to her. They'd gone and gotten everything she needed. It was all cleaned up, ready to go. And so the guys came in and said, "Hey, would you mind giving it to her so we can kind of remain anonymous?" I said, "Absolutely." I saw Serenity and Gerald come in, and I start to make my way across the room to them, and I've got the clarinet in my hands, and I really felt like the Lord gave me 2 words, and they were "not yet." And I thought, "Oh, that's weird. Like, okay, well, I guess I'm not supposed to give it to her yet." And so I laid it in the back, and we kind of started through the day. And as we got into worship, I really thought, well, man, wouldn't it be crazy if Serenity got baptized today? And so we were about 3 or 4 people in, and I was baptizing somebody, and I took him back, and as I'm bringing him up, I see her standing over to my right, and she's dressed, and she's all beaming ear to ear, smiling. And so I go over to talk to her, and I can't because I'm doing the whole Tammy Faye Baker thing. I'm sobbing, and so I skipped her. I said, "Hey, I'm going to come back to you." Did a couple more folks, tried to go back to her again. Did a couple more folks, came back to her again, and finally, I think I was making her more nervous. And I said, "Hey, here's the thing, Serenity. This is kind of crazy. This is going to sound weird, but I know that you want to play the clarinet in the fall." And she looked at me like, "Okay." And I know that was going to be a challenge for your dad to get you that clarinet. And she said, "Yeah, we'd already talked about it." And I said, "I just want you to know something, man. The Lord has really, I don't know why this makes me so like emotional, but I mean, I really feel like the Lord is telling me that He cares deeply about you because He has big plans for you, and that He's gonna grow you into the woman that He's called and created you to be." And so, man, we have this clarinet for you today, but what's more important than the clarinet is that you've made a decision to love God and to follow Christ with all of your heart. And so she starts to cry, and I'm a little weepy, as Toby would say. And so it really just struck home for me to see God move in such a what feels like a small, minor minutia of a detail, that there's some girl in North Texas that wants to play the clarinet, and He orchestrated that clarinet coming to the surface at the same time that she was giving her life and giving her heart to Christ, and just really cementing that with her. And so we shared that story with the campus, and it was a fantastic deal. Um, man, ay, ay, ay. It was just good. It was good. It was a good day. I love Keller. I love Cross Timbers, and this is the beginning of the beginning, my friends. So sorry that I took forever. Caleb, feel free to edit this. I know most of y'all watched it on fast forward.